Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. So today I've got another deck profile here for Season 10, updated for the new ban list and playing under the new ban list. That is going to be with Dragon Link this time. Dragon Link is a deck that I have covered only a couple of times, and honestly, the reason I haven't gone back to it more is because I'm kind of intimidated by playing this deck. I'm not going to lie. It's definitely not a very straightforward deck, but it's a very fun deck to play. And I think honestly, a lot of the reason why it doesn't see as much representation as I think it should necessarily, based on its power level, is because of the complexity of the deck, right? It's got very non-linear combo lines a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. I have done a little bit of research, but like, of course, as I started to do, learn more about Dragon Link, that was like right around the time that the ban list announcement got made, which banned Halki-Fibrex and also limited the Water Enchantress, which we are still playing the Adventure Engine. At least I am in my build. It's not necessarily universal by any means, but I still like the engine in this deck. It's not too hard to send the Enchantress to the graveyard, and it's pretty nice to do with the Shooting Riser Dragon, right? If you can make the Riser, you can send the Water Enchantress to the graveyard, set up the Adventure Engine. That also makes Riser a level 4 tuner, and being a level 4 tuner is often the magic number to go for one of your level 8 synchros, either the Borreload or the Chaos Ruler. I almost kind of want to put in another level 8 synchro, because there have been games where I can, like, I feel like I could use another one, but I don't know what it would be. Maybe even like another Chaos Ruler. I don't know. That might be a bit overkill at that point, but just, I don't know, there's a lot of tinkering with the extra deck that you could potentially do that I've thought about doing. I've been using Quad Boil quite a bit, which I didn't beforehand, but now that we don't have Crystalline Halki-Fibrex, that was kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is that as well as Water Enchantress going to one with Halk being banned, that definitely changes some of the combo lines somewhat that you can do. But the Quad Boil is nice for setting up a pretty, relatively easy Borreload Savage Dragon. At least that's how I use it. Maybe there are other uses of this card that I'm just not aware of, but I usually use it to, like, I'll send like a Rokket Tracer and like a Striker Dragon to make the Quad Boil. Then you can use Quad Boil, discard a card, pop itself, bring back the Tracer, and like the, what is the level 4 one? Where is it? The, here, the Recharger. And then you can go into a Borreload Savage from there that equips the Quad Boil, has 2 counters and 3500 attack. Not like the best, not the best Borreload by any means, but it's still a decent one. I got 2 negates, one for your opponent's turn and one for your next turn to stop a disruption on your opponent's part, and that's usually all you need with the Borreload and the negates there. Yeah, so a lot of the time we just kind of ended on like Borreload plus Hot Red Dragon, which is, 2 Omni negates, definitely not a bad board to end on, as well as, whatever disruption we have in hand, as well as possibly the Adventure setup as well. Again, we are still playing the Adventure. I think this is the first Adventure deck I've played in quite a while, honestly. With the Water Enchantress going to 1, and also like the other decks that we're using Adventure that were popular are getting hit otherwise, right? Like, Adventure Tendy lost Halk, Adventure Prank had Meow Meow go to 1. Adventure Prank is still around. It lost, 1 Water Enchantress like all Adventure decks, as well as the Celestial and 1 Fusion Destiny from the DPE engine, but it's still kicking around, and I'm actually thinking about getting back to it here, because I do think it's a solid deck that is just not seeing enough play to properly see, I think, where it should maybe be on some tier lists. But in any case, we're here to talk more about Dragon Link. So, I'm still playing like the 45 card variant, not really wanting to play 60 cards, mostly because I don't want to craft the Grass is Greener. I don't know, I didn't really think about it. I did truly honestly think about like going into that build, but I don't know, for me, like, I wanted at least one other 60 card deck that I was interested in before I crafted Grass, like, 2. But I really didn't see any other ones that struck me, honestly. So I'm still going to just stick with the quote-unquote mini variant, which is still 45 cards. This deck is pretty slot hungry in terms of the main deck. You do have to play a lot of cards for your deck to fully function. And I actually did try this deck like without the Adventure Engine, with the even like slimmer build. But honestly, I think the Adventure Engine just adds so much in terms of not only obviously the negate to protect your plays, but also like materials to set up plays. Like the Gryphon Rider can be used for a synchro, or so can like the token from Rite of Aramesir, right? Even if we're not using them to set up the negate, they can still be useful as combo pieces. So we've got a few games to take a look at today. These ones are going to be replays. I did do a few live games recently, but honestly, with this deck, honestly, we get like 1 game per video, and it'd be mostly just me going, I think I can do this, as I run my timer down. So for this particular deck, I'm going to be sticking with replays for the time being, just until I get more comfortable with it. But I do want to play this deck more and get more comfortable with it. I do plan on practicing it more. And definitely those of you who are like well versed in Dragon Link, I'm very much looking to you in the comments. Definitely help me out here with the post ban list build. I could definitely use that the guidance there. So as well as with the plays, you know, that I'm making as well, because I can't imagine I'm doing everything optimally. I was gonna say anything. I imagine I'm doing some things optimally, but definitely not everything. So again, do let me know in the comments there. But anyway, let's go ahead and break the list down card by card and then get into these games. We are playing 2 Effect Veiler, 3 Black Metal Dragon, 1 Rokket Synchron, 3 Maxx, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 2 White Dragon Wyverburster, 1 Black Dragon Collapserpent, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 3 Rokket Tracer, 2 Rokket Recharger, 1 Destrudo the Lost Dragon's Fission, right? Yeah, Fission. It's the R that always messes me up there. 1 Absorouter Dragon, 1 Wandering Gryphon Rider, 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, or Red Med as I like to call it, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Chaos Space, 2 Rite of Aramesir, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 1 Dragon Ravine, 1 Boot Sector Launch, 1 Fateful Adventure, 3 Quick Launch, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, and then finally 1 Infinite Impermanence for the 45 card main deck. The extra deck is going to have 1 Shooting Riser Dragon, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Chaos Ruler the Chaotic Magical Dragon, 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, Abyss, 1 Baronne de Fleur, 1 Guardragon Pisty, 2 Striker Dragon, 1 Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, 1 Dragoonity Knight Romulus, 1 Quad Borreload Dragon, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Access Code Talker, and then finally 1 Borreload Dragon. Alright, so that is the build there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some games. Okay, first duel we're going to take a look at here is going to be against Trap Tricks. It's been quite a while since I've played against this deck. I'm a little bit rusty playing against them, honestly. But all the same, it's not going to be too bad. Opponent is going to take the first turn, which is not ideal, obviously, especially against a deck like Trap Tricks. As they're going to summon the Murmillo, and they're going to end up setting a whole bunch of cards, like 4, I think it is. Oh yeah, of course they're going to go for... I should have actually, on the normal summon, activated the Maxx. This is kind of what I meant when I said I was rusty. I forget they just go for the Sarah, that they have, like, you know, a Link 1, but I will definitely Maxx in response to the Parallel Exceed here. So I did miss out on 1 draw, but it's not the end of the world. We're still going to get, I think a total of 3, because they're going to go for the Rafflesia as well. So we definitely welcome this, especially again against this deck where they're going to have a whole bunch of disruption for us. But fortunately, you know, this deck plays more disruption than actual floodgates. So, well, they had 3 cards, not 4 in the back row. That wasn't so bad. Yeah, they have more disruption than actual floodgates, which, you know, this deck, especially with all the extra draws, can pretty easily push through. Pretty unlucky drawing the Dracoback in 2 call bys, though. You know, those definitely are not going to be very helpful at all. So, they're going to immediately use the Rafflesia. That's fine. I kind of pretty much thought that this Water Enchantress had no chance of actually resolving here. So I'll look at the Chain Hole set as well, but I'm not really too concerned about that. So anyway, the Black Metal Dragon's coming down here. I'm going to go into the Striker Dragon, of course, to search our field spell, the Boot Sector Launch there. And yeah, from there we're going to try to start our plays. Of course, they do have the Forbidden Droplet, so no Boot Sector launch for us. That's actually not a huge deal, though, even though we do have the Rokket Tracer in hand, and of course, would love to special summon it. That is, of course, going to kind of hamper us from necessarily being to as easily climb up into the Romulus for the Ravine. But we also have the Destrudo anyway, so I'm not really worried about setting Ravine up. And I'm not super concerned about setting the Boot Sector launch up. If we can get it up, it's nice, but if not, it's whatever. So I guess we are going to go for the Romulus anyway. That's right here. We do have the ability to, so there's kind of no reason not to. Oh yeah, here they have the Trap Hole Nightmare, and I'm totally fine with this. Like, I'm not concerned about this Ravine. That's what it was. I knew there was a reason we didn't get Ravine. I thought it was because we didn't go for it, but that's right. We baited out another negate with the Romulus. That's what it ended up being. Yeah, definitely more concerned with that Collapserpent getting added. Okay, with that we can banish it and special the good old red med here. And then here the opponent conceded, which I definitely think was very premature, as at this point I was not really like super sure of how I was going to close out the game. But I've talked about this before on the channel, you know, we should definitely not preemptively concede, right? This is definitely an example of preemptive conceding. I feel like my opponent just might have run out of responses and kind of assumed I was just going to go off and then win this turn. But, you know, not only did I don't know if I was even able to OTK this turn given the rest of my hand. Again, we had 2 call bys and a Dracoback. On top of that, like, even then, even if my opponent's 2 back rows are not things they can actually respond with, I'm still going to play around them as if they might be able to respond, right? Because I don't know that. And I have to assume that they are active responses. That's just playing responsibly at that point. I mean, you know, to a certain extent, I might notice after a certain point in time, like, okay, I've been doing a lot of things. They haven't used either of these 2 back rows, so maybe they just aren't useful at the moment. Maybe they're just dead draws. Maybe they are like more battle, like traps, like a Mirror Force or something like that. Like some variant of Mirror Force is like the Quaking and the whatever. In any case, yeah, I definitely think it was a premature concede on the opponent's part. So I'll let that be a lesson. Like, don't always do that. Your opponent might have like 3 dead cards in hand like I did here. But in any case, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Next up, we're going to be playing against Heroes, which a lot of you probably know by now is a kind of favorite of mine. So if only it weren't so many ultra. I know I say that every time. If only it weren't so many ultra craft points, I'd be so down to build Heroes. But it's still, even at this point, like I think 11 or 12 ultra rares that I have to craft in order to build a fully fleshed out hero deck, which is like, it's too many. It's too many. I can't justify it. Maybe someday, who knows? Or maybe I'll make an alt account for. I've had that idea before, actually, making an alt account just to play heroes. I might do it, who knows? But in any case, here. Yeah, we've got the adventure engine set up as well as a black metal dragon. This, along with the quick launch and the call by, very, very good opening hand. We can get the adventure set up online using the black metal dragon's normal summon to add the Dracoback. From there, we can go into Striker Dragon, then get our boot sector launch, and then go into the quick launch for the Rokket Tracer. And get more dragons on board. I don't really have a plan for the boot sector launch here because I don't have any rocket monsters in my hand, and I don't, at this current point in time, have like the easiest way to get one. So I'm just going to use the Rokket Tracer's effect here, I think, at this point. Blow up the Dracoback, get the Rokket Recharger out of my deck. Yeah, I decided actually to blow up the Dracoback instead of the boot sector launch here because I thought, you know, there might still be a point where we can wheel a rocket monster back to the hand. So yeah, I'm not super concerned about, like, you know, preserving the Dracoback here. Like, yeah, it would be nice to have our adventure token, like, not be able to be destroyed by battle here, but that's not, like, a concern. Like, a priority, rather, I should say. Yeah, especially because, yeah, we can use the Striker Dragon to then, blow up the Chaos Ruler, use that to add. I was going to add the Recharger and then use the boot sector launch, but then I realized, oh, I can just use Recharger's effects to bring back the Tracer to the field, and then I can go for quad Borreload. So I actually still don't even need the boot sector launch. It's I don't know, but maybe I still could have used it. That's the thing about this, is the thing about Dragon Link. Like, there's so many different ways that you can do things, and there's so many different little, like, restrictions, or, like, not even necessarily restrictions, but, like, little, I don't know. Again, by using the boot sector launch or not using it, did I, like, miss out on something potentially? I almost have to assume I did, right? Oh, actually, I did here because I added this Rokket Tracer, and if I had sent the Imperm instead, I could have played the boot sector launch and special this Rokket Tracer and done, I don't know, something with it, I'm sure. But whatever, I'll just get back the, or I'll summon the red med and get back the Chaos Ruler with its effect. We're still able to get back the Chaos Ruler with its own effect at this rate. I've got a couple of Omni Negates as well as the Imperm and the Called by down, so I'm not like, I mean, my opponent's still got a full hand to work with, but I'm not like super duper concerned. I am going to use the Gryphon on this Imperm targeting the Borreload here because if the Imperm does resolve, then the quad Borreload will fall off, so yeah, definitely no need to use the Borreload necessarily. We'll keep that around because the you know, the Gryphon Rider, because we can just get that back next turn. But yeah, we'll use that to negate the Imperm on our opponent's part. Opponent's got a Stratos, and then we can use our Impermanent response. And then I guess my opponent just didn't have enough ways to play through our last Omni Negate because they just conceded at that point. Again, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of what was going on with their hand, but in any case, like, this is just me kind of like haphazardly putting together boards, and I don't know. I'm not going to claim my boards are optimal, but usually if I can get like 2 Omni Negates on board, I'm like, that's probably good enough, right? I feel like I did at least decent. So again, if I could be doing better, and I'm sure I could be, I know I could be, do let me know in the comments, like, what maybe some of the hands could end on from a more dedicated, shall we say, Dragon Link player. But we do still have more games. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Alright, this next duel here is going to be against Fluwanderies, everyone's favorite cute little birds. Use favorite sarcastically there, of course. I mean, I don't know, I don't really like to, like, drag hate on, like, certain decks, but I do have to admit that Fluwanderies, there's something about, like, I don't know, they feel more annoying than Eldritch somehow, but, you know, it's not that big of a deal, honestly. Like, yeah, you know, whatever, we can acknowledge a deck as annoying, but, like, and I kind of feel this way in life in general, not just with like Yu-Gi-Oh decks, but like in particular when something is just annoying, like, okay, if something is problematic, then yeah, that should definitely be addressed and talked about. Like, you know, we should have actual discussions about that. But if something is just like annoying, it's like, I feel like we can just acknowledge it and move on. There's no need to dwell on it. I don't feel like it tends to be productive to go on and on about how annoying something is. Again, I think that's true of Yu-Gi-Oh decks and tends to be true of life in general. But in any case, yeah, similar setup here with the you know, adventure line plus the black metal dragon. This time we got a chaos space as well. So we do have the ability to go for the Wyverburster / Collapserpent. That is really important, actually, to have this extra Wyverburster / Collapserpent. Just extra bodies you can special on board that can recur into more. You know, adding them from deck to the hand when they get sent from field to the graveyard is so important. It makes all the difference when comboing with this deck. It makes it so much easier. You just have like less stuff to figure out. That's kind of just a rule of thumb I've found with this deck. Like, the more materials you can get on board, the less just figuring things out you have to do, which is nice. It's very nice when that manages to work out that way. So yeah, here I'll use the Ravine. Just go into that, not even worry about the boot sector launch here. Gonna go for the Rokket Tracer, because again, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get too many rocket monsters in my hand, so I'll use the Tracer, popping the Ravine because we've already used it. Now we can go for the Chaos Rulers to try to add some more gas to our hand. Yeah, here I actually think I end up adding the Veiler, because I thought about adding the Rokket Tracer, but of course I don't have the boot sector launch anymore, so there's really no need to go for the Rokket Tracer here. Because obviously we can't special summon it, so I might as well have a Veiler for just another form of negation during the opponent's turn here. I've already got the Gryphon Rider down, and I know I can set up a Borreload with this hand. This is actually the kind of hand that I talked about during the deck profile, where we're going to set up a quad Borrel in order to get a Borreload online, a Borreload Savage Dragon for the opponent's turn. I'm going to pop the Chaos Ruler to add the Recharger back to my hand. That's going to allow me to special summon the Tracer. And I'm totally fine, obviously, popping the Chaos Ruler, because I can just bring it back later with its effect if I need to. Like during my next turn in order to add a little bit of extra damage on board. But now I'll go ahead and toss this extra Wyverburster. I actually want to keep this Harpy's Feather Duster in hand and not the Wyverburster, because I don't think the Wyverburster will be too essential for gas on the next turn. But if my opponent is playing a deck that's got a lot of back row, I do want to have the Feather Duster available and not have to just use all my Omni Negates to just not manually, to like kind of more aggressively, I should have meant to say, push through their back row. And I am actually glad I held the Feather Duster, because, you know, Flandres do tend to play a decent number of back row, not as much as like Eldritch, but a decent amount. They have a Feather Duster of their own. I'm definitely going to use the Borreload effect here to negate that, so that we can obviously preserve our future Borreload negate as well as our Dracoback as well. I'll use the Veiler here on the Rabina. That's going to stop their whole play line dead in its tracks, and they're just going to have to pass. So now I can just use the Feather Duster on the back rows. I debated using the Dracoback first, but I just decided to go for the Feather Duster, just shotgun it. They're going to respond with the Flandres and Dreaming Town. I don't want to take the chance that they have an Eaglin in hand and are able to then go into like a Mega Riser or something kind of scary like that. Opponent's actually main decking Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. I kind of talked about this with non-fusion area, but I really don't like the idea of main decking like quote-unquote side deck cards in a best of one format. Even Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, I know there's a lot of dark decks running around right now, but like, it's too easy to run into a deck where a card like that is completely dead, like a Mirror Match or like a Sword Soul or something. So, I mean, Sword Soul is like a popular enough deck, you know? There are enough different decks running around that I don't think you can really afford to main deck stuff like Shadow Imprisoning Mirror or non-fusion area. I did see a comment point out saying like, if you really wanted fusion hate but wanted something more generic, you could go Dimensional Barrier. That I would be a little bit more on board with, you know, main deck hate, because that could at least also stop like Sword Soul you could call a Synchro. You do have to be mindful that you can't call Links with it, which is that card's like main drawback, so to speak. So there is that to keep in mind, but otherwise, yeah, I think that's a fine substitute if you really want to main deck a card like that. But I think you should be focused on more generic disruption, like, you know, traditional hand traps like Ash, Maxx, Nibiru, Veiler, Imperm, stuff like Droplet, Call By, that kind of a thing, or, you know, your own decks. Like, your deck needs to be able to do its own thing as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. All right, this next duel is going to be against Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade, which is a deck I haven't gone back to in quite a while. It's one of those decks, I feel like it's right there with Sky Striker, where like I do have a passing interest in the deck, but there's always, it kind of feels like there's always something else that I want to get to first. But that's not to say I'll never go back to the deck. You know, Justin Bieber for all these, you know, decks that I've built, like never say never in terms of going back to them. But I don't know, just not like a priority at the moment. In any case here, yeah, going to use my Gryphon Rider as kind of a combo piece like I mentioned earlier. I'm actually going to use it with the Rokket Recharger to, or not the Recharger, to Rokket Tracer to pop the Gryphon Rider in order to get the Recharger from the deck and then synchro into the Chaos Ruler. Chaos Ruler is always a pretty good place to start as far as like making plays. It's usually a pretty good just you know, for adding more fuel, not only the card that it adds, but also the cards that it sends to the graveyard, right? Like, you know, fodders for your, like, Chaos Serpents to banish, you know, your Chaos Space, like we just used to draw extra cards. Just a lot of different stuff you can set up in the graveyard with the Chaos Ruler there, which is why I like to go for that first, like I said there. So, yeah, we can use the Black Metal Dragon here to add a Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Of course, we get the Boot Sector launch with the Striker Dragon as well. Nice, because we also have the Rokket Tracer in our hand. Of course, we've already used Rokket Tracer's effect this turn, so we're not going to be able to go for, like, Romulus plays, but we can still go for the Quad Borrel here. Like I mentioned, I like going for the Quad Borrel as a nice, pretty easy way to set up the Borreload Savage Dragon to have the Omni Negate for the opponent's turn. I think I could have set up a Rokket Synchron potentially here, especially because of the way I end up doing things. Like I could have specialed, yeah, because I could have specialed the Tracer and Rokket Synchron here, and then I could have summoned the Borreload and end up summoning the Hot Red Dragon as well. So I think I did end up missing out on that by not getting the again the Rokket Synchron out here. But yeah, I definitely did misplay a little bit there. That one I do recognize. But we've also got the Maxx and Nibiru as well as the Borreload Savage Dragon in hand. I would have actually liked to have that Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss though, because it's really going to kind of come down to the wire here. As my opponent drops the first Leolisk monster, at this point I'm going to go ahead and use the Maxx. I'm fine letting them summon out a lot of their birds in order to get a lot of draws before I really get down to start like negating things or really think about actually dropping the Nibiru here, right? So I want to, like I said, get my draws in and try to even find more disruption, like a Veiler potentially, or a, what do you call it, an Ash Blossom. I can't use Imperm, obviously, because I've got plenty of cards on the board, but yeah, I am fine, rather, with them using the Recital Starling here. They buff the Borreload, which I do notice puts it over 4,000 attack. You do need to be mindful of that when playing against Leolisk, because that is a way they can OTK you that some people don't like necessarily see coming, right? And that's the, like, Recital Starlings. They can potentially use their effect to drop your life points to 0 kind of out of nowhere if you're not expecting it. A lot of people just kind of think of them as searchers and nothing else, but they do have that second effect as well, that your opponent takes battle damage that is involved with this monster too. So that with the Assembled Nightingale definitely clues me in that that's what they're kind of trying to go for. So they went to end their main phase, and that's why Veiler, the Recital Starling. I wanted to point that out because that looked really random, I'm sure, but yeah, my opponent went to then end their main phase, and in response to that, I activated Veiler on one of the 2 Recital Starlings. That means that my opponent can't finish me off this turn, because they can only do 4,100 to me with the 1 Recital Starling that wasn't negated. So that means they're going to have to continue their main phase, because I did use Veiler during the end of the main phase, because you have to Veiler during the main phase. So they're going to keep going into the Utopic Future here. Now, at this point, I knew they were going to go for, obviously, Utopic Draco Future, but I was fine with them playing that at this stage, because then I thought, oh, I can Nibiru, and if the Utopic Draco Future in response, I can just Borreload it and negate it, because I haven't used the Borreload negation yet. But here they actually end up going for another Recital Starling. Now, at this point, if they wanted to, they could go to the end of the main phase, and I don't remember if they did or not, or I just did this in response to the summon, but at this point, I am going to Nibiru. No, I did do it in response to the summon, because I wanted to do it before the Draco Future came down, just in case this last card was something random, like a random monster effect negate. I don't know what it could really be, maybe like a Droplet or something. I don't remember if they had an extra card, but regardless, I just want to get Nibiru online at this point. We're going to have a big token to contend with, but we should have more than enough gas in our hand to deal with it, especially given all the draws from Maxx here. Last card ended up being DD Crow, banishing the Borreload Savage, and then the opponent just concedes. So, yeah, that's another game we had another one recently where we talked about Nibiru timing. I think it was a Sword Soul game where we talked about Nibiru timing. This was another example of where timing the Nibiru was fairly important as far as when exactly we wanted to drop it to interrupt our opponent's plays while also having enough resources to manage the token that came out. That's something you always got to remember with Nibiru. If you're going to drop Nibiru, make sure you can answer the token. Okay, we've got one more game to watch. Let's go straight into it. Alright, last duel of the video here is going to be against Burn, and this one's going to have a bit of a cautionary tale to it. Yeah, a bit of a cautionary tale. I guess we could say it that way. You'll see. Also, really satisfying. We can, especially with this board in particular, when you get an opponent with the same board. Just makes the whole battlefield look so pretty. I love it. Opponent's going to throw down 4 face downs. I'll definitely throw out the Gryphon Rider during their end phase here. Before they can activate any of those in response. Our opening hand is looking pretty good. We've got a lot of fuel here for plays. Even drawing the Ravine is nice. Now we don't necessarily have to go for Romulus. I'm definitely going to lead with the Black Metal into Striker, as usual. That way we can set up both the Quick Sector, the Boot Sector launch, and the Red Med in our hand as well. So yeah, I have the Boot Sector launch in order to special the Rokket Tracer. We'll go ahead and do that now. Opponent's got a Secret Blast at this point. I just know they're playing Burn, so no real surprises there. As well as the Trap Trick as well. Setting up the, I believe the Eater of Millions, or the Banquet of Millions. Eater of Millions is the monster, that's right. So at this point I'm like, yikes, so they actually have like the OTK with the D8 Dynamite sound? But no, I actually managed to get lucky enough that they didn't have it. And they're just using the Banquet of Millions as disruption here. So no extra deck for us. That's definitely, you know, can be a bit of an issue for, you know, Dragon Link, of all things. However, it's not necessarily the end of the world. We can actually potentially put out 8,000. Actually, we do end up putting 8,000 damage worth on the board. But the opponent's going to have some back rows that end up stopping us. That's what happened, I remember now. Yeah, we can get the Red Med out. Now this is 4,000. 3. Yep, so this is 8,600 points of damage right here. I'm gonna leave the Striker Dragon and the Absorouter Dragon. Oh no, it's not the back rows. That's right. The opponent's got Mahama, the Fairy Dragon here, to tank some of the damage as well as, well, just tank some of the damage as well as heal. That's what I was gonna say there. So yeah, opponent's down to 2,200. That's a good sign for us, and we're still at 59. With one more face down, I know they can't OTK us or not OTK, but burn us out rather very easily here. So I'll use the I always get the different Rokket cards names mixed up. I don't know why. I'll use the Rokket Tracer's effect here during the end phase, just in case that last back row is something that's live. Now, a lot of people, I think, would just kind of be like, oh, the opponent didn't use these last turn. It's just one more face down. I'll just go to battle phase and start attacking. Whatever. I have easy lethal on board, right? I tend to play assuming my opponent's back rows are live, even if I've been given clues they might not necessarily. Some people think this is a little bit of egregious to do this and be like, you know, you'll see those memes of like, oh my god, my opponent just keeps playing. Why don't they just finish me off already? This game is going to be kind of a telltale example of why I think you should do that, as even though, yeah, I've got pretty clear path to lethal on board right now, I'm still going to go for some extra plays. Like, I want to put a couple of Omni Negates down because I don't know what these back rows are, and they could be things that are live. And honestly, to a degree, I do respect my opponent enough to assume that, you know, they might be playing well enough that they might be trying to goad me into some kind of false sense of security here. You know, I just think about scenarios where I move into battle phase and my opponent's got like 3 magic cylinders or something, and I go to battle and I end up losing. And you know what my first thought is going to be like, wow, that was preventable. So, you know what, I've talked about this with in other videos. I'm like, you know what, let's look out for future Lex here, right? Future Lex is going to thank past Lex for planning ahead, even if it ended up being unnecessary. In those scenarios where it's not, future Lex is going to thank past Lex for this, so... Anyway, yeah, here I'm able to normal summon the Rokket Synchron, go for that with the Chaos Roar that we bring back, and now we have a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. So now having 2 Omni Negates going into this battle phase, I'm feeling a lot better. Opponent flips up a Dimension Wall, which is, you know, close enough to Magic Cylinder. We have the Hot Red Dragon to negate, but lo and behold, they've actually got another one. Well, it's a good thing we've got the Borreload to negate, right? But believe it or not, opponent's actually going to flip up Dimensional Wall number 3. And this is why I call this game a cautionary tale. If I had just moved to battle phase, oh, I actually tried to flip up my own monster face down with Fairy Tale Snow here, just for the rubbins, but then I realized, like, oh, you can only banish your, or not banish, you can only flip your opponent's monsters face down. So yeah, I'll take the 3,200, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. I actually should have battled with the weaker monster here first, to be honest. Like, I should have battled with the Red Med here. Might have ended up mattering, but ultimately didn't. But yeah, you know, if I had just gone to battle phase and just started attacking willy-nilly, I would have gotten hit with 3 Dimension Walls and lost. So, you know, it might seem egregious to play into extra Omni Negates like that in a scenario like that, but I say always better safe than sorry, and no reason not to, right? So again, just wanted to use that game as kind of more of a warning to all those who might kind of see those memes and be like, oh, maybe they're right. I don't have to play into, do extra plays when I have a clear path to victory. No, no, no. If we're doing a cautious play, we are definitely always doing those extra plays. So that's about all the games I've got for this video. Let's go ahead and move now to the outro. Alright everybody, I want to thank you very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That does mean a lot to me, not only personally, but also as a means of supporting the channel, as does the comments and subscribing, are also mean a lot to me personally and are great ways to support the channel. Comments, like I said earlier, dedicated Dragon Link players, because I'm always bouncing from deck to deck here on the channel. I'm definitely looking for people who are more dedicated to this deck to help me out with the build and the gameplay. If you have any comments about it, feel free to leave them down there. That's not only going to help me improve, but also anyone who's watching as well. And I really like the thing that we kind of do here, our thing, so to speak. At least I'm declaring it our thing, which is community-based learning, peers educating peers. Something that's very cool that we do here on the channel, so definitely love to see the comments there. And then those of you who subscribe, you'll get notifications of when my videos drop, which does happen every single day. So yeah, I know that when you subscribe, you do get a daily Master Duel video. But that is all the time I've got that is all the time that I have got for today. So without further ado, this is XLex. I'm signing out, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day.